Chairman and Chief Executive Officer John May attributes the drop to declining global agriculture and turf demand. Quarterly news did make an impact on Deere's stock price.
John Deere, once the heart and soul of American farming, is now at the center of a crisis that threatens not only its future but the survival of an entire industry. The company that generations of farmers have trusted for their machinery is now losing their loyalty, and the consequences are being felt far beyond the corporate headquarters in Moline, Illinois. What has led to this dramatic shift, and how will it change the future of farming in the U.S.? The fall of the John Deere empire. The story of John Deere's dominance in rural America has always been intertwined with small farming towns, where its factories acted as the lifeblood of the community. For years, towns like Waterloo, Iowa, and Moline, Illinois, were proud to have John Deere as their primary employer. Thousands of well-paying jobs were secured in these factories, and entire neighborhoods were built around the steady employment that Deere offered. From families to local businesses, everything was connected to the company. When John Deere made the decision to lay off over 4,500 workers between the years 2015 and 2024, the consequences rippled through the entire agricultural landscape. At first glance, these layoffs seemed like a corporate decision to increase efficiency and reduce costs. However, the immediate consequences were far more devastating than anyone could have predicted. Local businesses, restaurants, grocery stores, and small shops relied on the disposable income of Deere workers to stay afloat. Once those workers were let go, these businesses were left scrambling to survive. The effects were felt immediately. Restaurants that once catered to factory workers found themselves with empty tables, and small shops lost their regular customers. But the impact wasn't limited to businesses alone. The real estate market in these towns began to plummet as families left in search of new opportunities. With fewer workers employed and local economies in free fall, home values took a sharp dive, forcing many families to relocate. As people moved away, school districts that depended on property taxes to fund their operations started facing massive cuts. Entire communities that had once been stable and thriving were now seeing their very infrastructure crumble. These aren't just abstract economic terms, these are real families, businesses, and schools being affected. When John Deere shut down plants and laid off workers, it wasn't just the company's profit margins that were at risk, it was the future of entire towns. This is the reality of rural America today. Could the company's decision to downsize and move its operations overseas really be worth the destruction it has caused to communities that once relied on it? And how long can towns like these survive without the backbone that John Deere once provided? Will John Deere's CEO recognize the damage done to these communities and reverse the company's decisions, or will it be too late to undo the harm? A backlash builds. One of the most heated issues farmers are now facing is the right to repair controversy. For years, farmers have relied on John Deere's machinery to help run their farms. But as technology has advanced, John Deere has made a disturbing shift, locking the software and diagnostic systems of their equipment behind a proprietary digital wall. This digital barrier means that even the simplest repairs, like replacing a sensor or updating software, require a trip to an authorized John Deere service center. For many farmers, this restriction feels like a betrayal. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on machinery that they no longer fully own. Previously, farmers had the freedom to repair their own tractors or hire independent mechanics to do so. But John Deere's new policies have effectively taken that autonomy away. Now, farmers are forced to go through authorized service centers that charge exorbitant fees for repairs, fees that can quickly add up to thousands of dollars for a simple fix. This has sparked outrage across the farming community. For generations, farmers prided themselves on their ability to repair their own equipment. They were self-sufficient, capable of handling repairs and maintenance without relying on an expensive corporate system. But now, John Deere is forcing them into a position where they must rely on the company for even the most basic repairs. The company's refusal to allow independent repairs is perceived by many as nothing short of extortion. Farmers who have spent a lifetime cultivating their land with John Deere equipment now feel trapped in a system that takes away their freedom to maintain their own machines. In response, a powerful movement known as the right to repair has emerged. Is John Deere losing its grip? For years, John Deere has been the industry leader in agricultural equipment, but in recent years, the company's grip on the market has begun to slip. As the farming industry evolves and new competitors enter the scene, John Deere finds itself facing a serious challenge. Brands like Kubota, AGCO, and CNH are capitalizing on Deere's failures, offering farmers machines that are not only more affordable but also more repair-friendly. These companies understand that farmers need machinery that is both reliable and cost-effective, and they are stepping up to meet that demand. Farmers are looking for more than just a brand name. They are looking for equipment that can help them stay competitive in an increasingly difficult market. As the cost of farming continues to rise, farmers are under more financial strain than ever before. John Deere's high prices, coupled with restrictive repair policies, have made the company an unsustainable choice for many farmers. They are turning to alternative brands that offer more flexibility and lower overall costs, which has led to a steady loss of market share for Deere. The competition is not just domestic. International companies, particularly those from China, are also entering the market and providing tractors and harvesters at a fraction of the price of John Deere's models. Chinese companies like YTO Group and Zoomlion are offering more affordable options, and while these machines may not have all the advanced technology that Deere offers, they provide farmers with a solid, reliable alternative at a much lower cost. For farmers who are struggling to stay afloat amidst low crop prices and rising input costs, these cheaper alternatives are increasingly attractive. John Deere's failure to adapt to this changing competitive landscape could cost it its dominant position in the agricultural machinery market. The company's reluctance to evolve and meet the needs of modern farmers is leaving the door wide open for competitors to steal its market share. Can John Deere recover from this onslaught of competition, or will it continue to falter under the pressure of changing market demands? Will John Deere continue to lead the industry, or is its reign over the agricultural machinery market coming to an end? China's silent takeover. As if John Deere didn't have enough to contend with domestically, the company is now facing a growing threat from China. Chinese manufacturers like YTO Group and Zoomlion are rapidly expanding their market share in the global agricultural equipment market. These companies are able to produce tractors and harvesters at a fraction of the cost of John Deere's models, and they are quickly gaining popularity with farmers looking for more affordable options. The rise of Chinese agricultural equipment is not just about price, it's also about accessibility. John Deere has long been criticized for its rigid business model, with restrictive repair policies that make it harder for farmers to maintain their equipment. Chinese brands, on the other hand, offer machines that are easier to repair, more affordable, and widely available. For farmers already feeling the financial strain of low crop prices and rising costs, the appeal of these cheaper, more flexible alternatives is undeniable. But it's not just about machinery. China's growing self-sufficiency in agricultural production is also having a significant impact on global crop prices. Since the year 2022, the prices of crops like corn, soybeans, and wheat have dropped significantly, largely due to China's increasing agricultural output. This has put further pressure on U.S. farmers, who are already struggling to stay afloat amidst rising input costs and shrinking profit margins. As China's agricultural industry continues to expand, the U.S. farming industry is being squeezed from both ends, rising competition from cheap Chinese equipment and lower crop prices. If this trend continues, John Deere's market share could shrink dramatically, leaving the company vulnerable to international competition. Can Deere adapt to this changing global landscape, or will it be pushed out by foreign competitors? Can John Deere compete with China's rapidly growing agricultural sector, or will it be forced to step aside in the global market? Trump versus John Deere. John Deere's troubles are not just economic, they are also political. In 2024, the company made the controversial decision to move part of its manufacturing operations to Mexico, where labor costs are cheaper. This decision was met with widespread backlash from farmers, factory workers, and politicians, all of whom viewed it as a betrayal of American workers. But the most explosive reaction came from then-presidential candidate Donald Trump, who warned that if John Deere continued with its outsourcing plans, he would impose a 200% tariff on the company's Mexico-made equipment. This threat was no empty rhetoric. Trump had used tariffs in the past to pressure companies to keep their manufacturing in the U.S., and the consequences for Deere were clear. If the tariffs were enacted, Deere's equipment would become prohibitively expensive for American farmers, exacerbating the financial pressures already facing the farming community.